Okay.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning, everybody, from grey and drizzly Dublin. So we're going to give you an introduction today to the WD Red lineup of products for NAS. So these were launched very shortly ago, only about 2 months back, I think. So first, we want to just give you a quick look back at Western Digital, just to give you the context of the company. We've been around for a very long time, have a history stretching back to IBM in the hard drive business and SanDisk in the flash business from when it was actually called SunDisk. We've close to 14,000 patents worldwide. We're about the 5th largest patent holder in the world in the tech industry. We brought out loads of industries first, whether it's the smallest, the largest, highest capacity, fastest. That's generally what we do on the technology front, given our access to hard drive and flash technologies. And we also maintain our own flash fab. So fab is just a factory for flash memory, mostly based in Japan, and that's where we produced our 2D NAND and then switched to our 3D NAND, and we progress on the layers from 64 to 96 and then onwards to 128, and that shows that we drive the capacity every year. So you'll see your things like your USBs, you'll have been getting a 32 gigabyte, move to a 64, a 128 year over year for similar pricing. So that's how our memory transitions help drive better capacity options for the customers. Flash supply is very important in a market where it can be unstable. So us owning our own factories is very good in being able to supply you consistently to yourself and your customers. The other thing is we're vertically integrated, so they call it silicon to systems. So we make absolutely everything. We make the flash that goes onto the products. We engineer the firmware, and we put the products together themselves and design them. So it gives us full control over everything. So everything is 100% kind of quality guaranteed from end to end. And this is whether you're talking about regular NAND components, so the small little iNAND that could go into a car, like your Tesla, for example. It could go into your Roomba vacuum cleaner, probably soon is going to be in your washing machine for all you know. From there, we have everything all the way up from a 1 terabyte SD card to 112 terabyte portable direct attached storage if you're out doing movies in the wild, to 1.5 petabyte JBODs, which we use hard drives and flash in. So a massive range of products that we have under our belt. When it comes to simplifying these products and making them easier for you to sell, because obviously that's what we want to be able to do, maximize your sales, our color ranging has been very successful for us in the hard drive business, giving clearly differentiated and delineated products. So black being gaming or high performance, gold being enterprise, data center, purple being surveillance, red being our NAS products, and blue and green being our compute options. So we got some really good feedback at the end of 2019. We're voted best hard drives from the European Hardware Community Awards, which was specifically for Red, which is fantastic. And on that one, we've enlarged our Red range. So we've gone up in the capacity on the hard drives. And for the first time, we've actually introduced SSD to the Red range, because a lot of the new NAS systems out there have enabled SSD options and SSD caching. So on the hard drive side, we've upped both the Red and the Red Pro to 14 terabytes. So you can get up to 112 terabytes in an 8-bay enclosure, which is a pretty kind of nuts, especially if you have a massive Plex server. And they go for everything from 2 to 24 bay solutions, and they're designed to be specific NAS. So they have firmware that enables them to operate in 24/7 conditions. And they're also engineered to be quieter than regular drives, because the worst thing you can have is a NAS box in the corner that's humming like a fridge and becoming really annoying, especially in a multimedia environment, or if you have it in the living room or a small office. You don't really want that kind of buzzing sound in the corner. So on the Red and the Red Pro, now we've gone up to 14 terabytes on both. And as you can see, the difference between the Red and the Red Pro, essentially it's a faster drive. going 255 versus 196 megabytes a second. It's a higher workload rating, so 300 versus 180. It's a higher RPM, so 7200 versus 5400. And the Pro is the one that you want to go for if you're going into really high capacity bays. So this will do you all the way up to a 24 bay solution. And it's got a 5-year warranty over the 3-year warranty of the regular Red drive. So Red is for NAS, and now we finally can give you hard drives and SSD in the one enclosure. So this is kind of simplifying the sale for you. So somebody has a Synology, QNAP, or a Buffalo NAS, and you want to help them populate that. You can give them end-to-end Western Digital. So one manufacturer, one badge of quality, and one kind of warranty policy to deal with. The reason we kind of moved to SSD is that a lot of home users are still on 1 gig E, so you're talking about really 100-ish megabytes a second. So a hard drive very capably saturates that, no issue. And then if you're rating it, it's kind of far exceeds what you want. But where you're seeing the big changes in kind of small medium business, or the creators who really need fast access. And it's beyond just the bare naked speed of the drives. It's also down to the responsiveness and the latency, because SSDs are going to wake up and deliver the data a lot quicker than hard drives, which have to spin up like a vinyl record and then start delivering you the data. And obviously they're going to make a little more noise than SSD, which is completely quiet. So a single SSD on its own, going over 500 megabytes a second, is going to half saturate a 10 gig connection. Put two of them together in RAID, and you've fully saturated your connection. So a lot of the RAID, the caching solutions for SSD will be based on having two SSDs in RAID, which is giving you fully responsive, fully optimized pipe for your data for your NAS. So essentially, on the caching side, you're still going to stick a lot of your hard drives in for capacity, and you're going to use two generally SSDs as a front end for caching, kind of like you're going to use your RAM in your system alongside your hard drives to give you a bit more optimization for heavily used data. So once you put them in, the system's actually going to start building up the cache, start analyzing the frequently used data, and build your profile, and you'll see a performance improvement pretty quickly. So the good thing is we're fully approved by Synology and QNAP, so over 100 models for Synology on both the 2.5-inch and M.2 products. So these are both SATA. That's just one thing to flag. There isn't an NVMe option at the moment, so these are both SATA drives on 2.5-inch and M.2. So in Synology, when you're using the M.2 drives, they actually have add-in cards. So essentially, you're just popping in the two M.2s. They just secure in at the end there, and then two screws at the end. And you configure them using the cache creation wizard, whether you want to optimize for read-only or read-write. And you just need to make sure you have enough system memory on the NAS to make sure it is suitable for using SSD cache. So 2.5-inch, it's pretty more straightforward. You can just stick them into the regular 2.5-inch bays when available, or use the adapters for the 3.5-inch bays, and run the wizard and configure it to your specific use case. When it comes to QNAP, again on the approved vendor list, and there's links are in the deck, and you'll have the deck after, over 90 models that support it. And they also have add-in cards that you can use the M.2 cards with. Now, we did some testing on one of the newer QNAP units. I think it was the 5 drives plus SSDs, plus 4 SSDs, and we saw up to 50% improvement over hard drives with mixed workloads. So it's an appreciable uplift in performance, especially for a smaller office type environment, and literally pays for itself very quickly. So 2.5-inch, again, very, very easy. So all the hot data is basically going onto your SSDs, and it's not very difficult to configure these. And QNAP gives slightly different options. They allow you to optimize them for sequential I/O, whereas on the Synology drives, it's more for random performance. When we look at the products themselves, on the 2.5-inch side, we've 500 gig, 1 terabyte, 2 terabyte, and 4 terabyte. On the M.2 side, we've 500 gigs, 1 terabyte, and 2 terabytes. So these are up to 560 megabytes on the read side. And the important part here is that the endurance is what we've really bumped up. So it's up to 2,500 terabytes written. And the key thing is here, we've taken our experience in what we've created with, for example, Western Digital, the WD Blue platform. So that's kind of a high volume performance SKU for mainstream computing. And we can leverage what we've done with our NAND and our firmware and tweak this drive to develop the Red platform. So as you see, it's pretty good on the performance side of things, literally same as the Blue. So a very good standalone SSD even before you start with a 5-year warranty. But where we really see the difference here is on the endurance. So on the 4 terabyte, you've got a massive bump in endurance going from 600 terabytes written to 2,500. So that combined with the mean time to failure of 2 million hours versus 1.7 million means it's pretty much tailored to the use case for NAS. And you can look at an enterprise drive and think that I need an enterprise drive in my heavily used NAS for my Soho applications. And what we're seeing is that it's really on the endurance side that you need the tweaks. So what we've done is optimize the product to make sure the spec meets the requirements and that it's also price appropriate. So it's a very cost-effective way of SSD caching. So instead of using a consumer-grade drive, we give you something that's tweaked for purpose, so you don't have to go and spend extra money that you don't need on some enterprise features that may not even be taken account of in your NAS system. So it's just us using our ability with that end-to-end silicon to systems thing to play with our platforms, to tweak something to give you 100% what you need without any of the frills that you don't actually need. This is some of the stuff that some of our other partners have done. Just an example in Germany with Notebooks Billiger, showing the partnerships and the bundle potentials with our products with QNAP and Synology. So that's obviously the most ideal way to use it. If we can sell people the entire system with the box fully populated with both hard drives and SSDs, that's obviously a win for everybody. And some of the video content's out already. I think Nazca Bears, he's already got his videos up and done. We did a launch partnership and that went really well. So full details are up there if you want kind of a more in-depth product review on that side of things. All of the assets are in place. So we've 2 sets of assets. One is called the Power of Red, which is to do with the whole family, so the end-to-end hard drives and SSDs. And the second product level is called Supercharge Your NAS, with the Power of Red coming to SSD. So they're all available on our studio and localized should you require them. And that's a very quick blast through the new products. Again, they're quite straightforward. They're literally tailored and optimized for use in your NAS systems, cost optimized, and very simply targeted using our Western Digital color coding scheme to make it easier to self-select. So that's really all we have on the product today. If you need any more details, the data sheets are available. If there's any questions, feel free to ask now, or you can always send us an email after if you want any additional details.
Doesn't seem that we have any questions.
Well, that's not a bad thing. So again, thanks very much for your time. Hope that was useful. And if you have any queries or questions after, feel free to get in touch with us.